Hi, I'm Heidi. I'm codependent. Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share so that I can bring up the PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in. This is the first time I've done this topic before, so it'll be fun. And I learned a lot. And I was just sharing with another codependent this morning, like that whenever I do a workshop, I get probably more out of it than any of you guys do. And that I don't know, there's no way I would have judging that or knowing that. I just know that I do this for my recovery because it helps me integrate it deeper. It's always good, deep communication with my higher power and coming to surrender and coming to deeper understanding and doing the healing emotional work around it. So yay, I'm happy to be of service in this way. And I encourage all of you to ask yourself if doing workshops and presenting is something that's on your heart, and to jump in, because that's how I got started. I just did one. Somebody said, well, you should do a workshop on that. I was like, what? And then now I do workshops a lot and I love it. And it's not nearly as scary as it used to be. And it's really, really good for my recovery. And that's not everybody's source of service, but if it's yours, then you'll feel that. And so anyone who's afraid, reach out to other people who've already done it, including myself, and we'll help walk you through it. Okay. So just want to encourage people to just jump in, and we're all loved right where we are. So anyway, we're going to jump into this True Freedom, Step 7. So this is a course in honor of the 4th of July, which happens to be a very important date for me. I mean, it's important for all of us, but it is my birthday. I'll be 52 on Monday, and it's also my CODA anniversary. And I will be 14 on Monday. So I love the 4th of July, and I love celebrating it. And when I was a kid growing up, I felt special because everybody celebrated my birthday with fireworks. So if you have to have a holiday birthday, that's probably the best one. So anyway, and the the principle of freedom has always been one that, as a codependent, I've been striving to understand and striving to allow or achieve or figure out. And then as I work the steps in my recovery and build that relationship with God, I come to understand more and more what freedom really means. And so this was really fun to reflect on. So step 7, which it's also the 7th month, so that kind of worked out, right? Oh, God is so cute. Step 7, humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. So I would be free. So here's the story in my little codependent head, and I want you guys to tell your own stories. Ask yourself, what would you be free if you could do or have or be? I would feel free if I lost 10 pounds. That's still a story in my head. I would feel free if my child was happy and healthy. And I don't mean my inner child. My inner child is actually happy and healthy today. Not all the time, but very often. I'm talking about my actual child. And I would feel free if I had more money, and the same thing applies with time. I would feel free if I had more time. And I would feel free if I got a new job. That's kind of a new development for me. And a few of you in my life have heard a lot about that lately. So it was time to do some work around it. So here I am doing work around it. I'm going to work my 7th step. And I'm going to work my 7th step on these issues with you guys here. And this is a step group, basically. We're all doing step 7 together. So that's the story in my head. I would feel free if, and I don't feel freedom around those things. And how do I know that I don't feel freedom? I feel angst. I feel worried. I feel like it takes away my serenity. I feel like those subjects take me away from my truth. They take me away from my power. They take me away from God's love, right? They steal things from me. I don't have freedom around those things. When that subject comes up, there's shame, there's pain, there's confusion, whatever the feelings are for you. And that's important. I don't feel free. That's lack of freedom, freedom to be happy, joyous, and free, right? So what are yours? So it comes down to, what shortcomings do I need removed? So if I'm going to ask God to remove my shortcomings, what shortcomings am I talking about here? Scooting. Okay. So on the first one, I would be free if I lost 10 pounds. I need to deeply know that I'm enough as I am. So I need freedom from judgment, fear, vanity, and shame. Right now, I'm needing some freedom from my typo. I'm having some typo shame. Okay, I'm just gonna let that go. That's pretty funny, but that's cute. That's cute. Okay, so freedom. I'm looking for freedom from judgment, fear, vanity, and shame. I just finished doing this right now, like 5 minutes before I logged on. So I love that. Oh, that's funny how vulnerable that makes me feel. And thank you guys for loving me, even though I had a typo, and giving me an opportunity. Thanks, Chair. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to experience that shame in my body come up, but know that I'm loved and be able to release it and reinforce that I'm enough, typos and all, right? Warts and all, right? And be amused, like it's cute, it's cute that I feel like that much like this, the whole workshop and all the beautiful things that I have to say, and I'm focused on it. Oh, it's cute. Okay, all right, I'm going to try to get over that. So I need freedom from what blocks my freedom, wanting my child to be happy and healthy. I need to accept my powerlessness. So, and this applies to my powerlessness over everyone. This is just the relationship in my life that is that's most current, and that takes me away from my serenity, and causes that angst and that codependent flare up of all my defects of character and my patterns and characteristics. So I need to accept my powerlessness. I have a teenager. Teenagers are uncontrollable. We're not supposed to control them. I have to remember that my safety doesn't come from, her doing everything right, or her doing everything, or her being predictable, or fitting in a box somehow. Sarah has their own expansive life, their own higher power, their own wants and dreams and motives and heart and soul and destiny, and that's not mine to control and shut down so that I feel comfortable. I have to step into that and be able to surrender those fears as that happens. It's been a bitch, but I'm committed to that, and that's my commitment to being a healthy mom. Hard to take care of myself and find balance in that. So I have compassion for me too. We're both going through a lot. So I need freedom from over responsibility. I need freedom from fear and fear of shame. I need freedom from control. The want to control, the need to control, the false sense of safety and control. So I would be free if I had more money. I need to know that God always provides all I need. And for me, money and time is probably a bigger one for me. But so, like leaning into that, everything that I have will be provided or already is provided, trusting that. So I need freedom from fear, and I need freedom from that feeling of abandonment where I'm running the show by myself and feel like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? What am I going to do? How am I going to do that? How am I going to make that happen? So I would be free if I got a new job. I need to know that my discontent is evidence that God's got another plan already for me. Already. The answers are already there. I just have to get on board with it. I just have to let God take me there, allow that to happen. So I need freedom from the unworthiness. Like, oh, I have to stay. The story is I have to stay. I make good money. They really need me. Do I sound like a codependent yet? They've been providing for me for a long time. Like I really should be more grateful. And the truth is that my discontent is it's not just this week. It's been an ongoing thing for a while, and I need to take care of myself around that, and make some changes. Be willing for God to walk me through that. I need freedom from independence. My independence tells me that that I have to figure that all out, that I have to, make a decision, move forward, make it happen, that it's all on me, and that's it's not true. It's just not true. And then of course, freedom from fear and shame. So what shortcomings are you guys recognizing in what blocks you from your freedom? And those are going to be important to know what to ask to be removed. And, I'm going to tell you that in the past, I would very often just really try hard to do it myself, or I would just abandon that thing that felt like it was blocking me from freedom. I would just abandon that and just say, oh, I'll just give that up. That will never be true for me. I'll never have a healthy, loving relationship, or I'll never have more money, or I'll never have a better job, or I'll never be able to fix this, And so sometimes I would get into apathy or avoidance around those things, or over, perfectionism and trying so hard. Try. Yeah. Okay. Do you believe these freedoms are God's will for you? That's really important for us to feel like those resonate. Can we believe, the coming to believe in step 2? Can we come to believe that God really wants for us our deepest desires, wants for us our peace and freedom, that God is loving enough to want those things? And like most of us, my relationship with God was originally modeled after my relationship with my parents. And of course, my relationship with my parents was dysfunctional and toxic. So I projected a lot of that, and still am cleaning that up, what I project onto my higher power. And, of course, I learned how to not believe that my parents didn't want all the things for me that I wanted, because they blocked me from them. They shamed me for wanting them. They deprived me of them, or life conditions deprived me of them, or they literally said, you're selfish for wanting that, or oh, you could have that if you were good enough, So, am I willing to heal from that? Am I willing to let go of all those stories that I have to measure up somehow? And, true loving parenting meets me as the child right where I am. Right where I am. So my job is to be the child and stop trying to run my life by myself. So freedom comes down to how much I trust God. What would change in my life look like with loving care instead of abandonment, blame, and judgment, which is usually what the conclusion that I draw. I'm doing it wrong. I'm a fuck up. I can't figure it out. I'm alone. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm unworthy. I don't deserve it. And every time I want something in my life, my shame shows up and says that, what takes my inventory and tells me what's wrong with me and why I don't have that. So freedom, okay, I'm going to read now. That was my little slide to remind me to read. I'm going to read out of the coded book. Step 7 in my 3rd edition, it's on page 55. Step 7, humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Humbly ask God. After much consideration, we defined humility as freedom from false pride and arrogance. True humility allowed us to see things as they were. We would not instruct our higher power to remove our shortcomings, neither would we beg. Instead, we would gently, peacefully ask. Like, what a beautiful relationship that must be, right? That I don't have to be one up or one down, because that's just what they describe there. Yeah, I'm either telling God what to do and demanding it, like a child having a tantrum, or I'm begging, as from the one down position where I'm unworthy and trying to manipulate my way into having something that I want. Step 7 helps us to complete our spiritual cleansing process in our relationship with ourselves. It opens our hearts even more deeply to a relationship with God. Heartfelt humility is a vital part of this step. Without it, there is little room for a higher power to work within us and through us. I'm going to read that again. Without it, humility, there is little room for a higher power to work within us and through us. So, wow, like, aha, that's been the problem all along. Not that God wasn't there with solutions and love and inspiration and beautiful, methods and ways to heal me and progress my life and fix my problems and whatever. Just without humility, there is little room for a higher power to work within us and through us. My job is to make more room. That's really it. I just have to learn how it's healthy to show up in this relationship. Step 7 helps us to acknowledge our imperfections. Each of us is different, but humility allows us to experience true spiritual equality with others. In one way or another, we each reach our unique bottom in our codependence. We feel a deep level of powerlessness. We learn that God can help us if we are willing to do our part in helping ourselves. We surrender to God's will for our lives. We open our eyes to the devastating effects of our codependent behaviors in all of our relationships. We share the exact depths of our codependence with God, ourselves, and others. We recognize we have failed in our best attempts to participate in truly loving and intimate relationships with God, ourselves, and other. Yeah, check, and check. Yeah, me. Each aspect of our step work has brought us an ever deepening understanding and experience of our humanness. Our heartfelt humility fuels our desire, readiness, and willingness to have God remove our character defects. It is from this heartfelt and humble posture that we are ready to complete step 7. So isn't that like the best news ever? So what is God's part and my part in removing my shortcomings? So my job is to ask and receive and trust. And God's job is everything else. And my job is only whatever is in my power in this moment, with all of my humanness and my warts and my trauma and my history and my assumptions and my presumptions. And I mean, just all of it. And God's job is everything else. And that is love. And that is a loving higher power that meets me right where I am. Is removing my shortcomings in my power? No, or they wouldn't effing be shortcomings. Let me tell you, I've worked on them for a minute, right? It seems like the harder I work at it, the more, like embedded they become sometimes. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but when I'm working on a shortcoming, it gets worse before it gets better. And I think that that's because I'm trying so hard and I've got that lack of humility where I'm blocking God and leaving little room for my higher power to work within me and through me. And so when I step into allowing God to remove my shortcomings, then God has more bandwidth right? That's really important. I at least for me, I'm like, woohoo! Give him the bandwidth, Heidi. Okay, so then is asking in my power? Yes, it is in my power. Then I can do that. And then where I've struggled with that is that I was taught not to ask. I was taught not to want. I was shamed for asking, for wanting, for being lazy, for being needy, for having feelings, for not figuring out for myself. So, of course, that's been a struggle for me. And no wonder I try to do it all myself. Nobody taught me how to ask, and that ask, that desire, that wish, be blessed and be received well, and be acknowledged and be validated and be fulfilled. That was not my childhood. That is not what my brain grew up thinking was going to be effective at all in any of this. So I got to learn a different, I got to stop having a relationship with my dad, with God, and I need to have a relationship with God. And that's really kind of, for me, it's easy to put it in that God is not my dad. God is not my mom. Like I have to stop doing that. I have to let God help me stop doing that. There's my humility, right? Yep, I have to do that. So let me keep going here. So through practicing humility in this relationship, I come to know I am a lovable being and God is a loving parent. I don't get to experience that. I don't get to let God's love come in and heal me, heal my separation, heal my shame, heal my fear, heal my loneliness, heal my life, heal my core shame, unless I surrender and practice humility and let God love me. And I can let God love me with all of my beautiful wants and desires, as well as my most painful, deep shortcomings. And that all of that is important. It's just sometimes harder to turn over the shortcomings. But it's a shortcoming that I don't feel deserving of all of my big heartfelt desires too. That's a shortcoming. So anyway, we keep going. Okay, so my part, it is my choice to allow myself to receive God's guidance, abundance, love, nurture, and inspiration. As I receive all that care, my healing and inspired and healthy inspired actions will follow. God believes in me and I believe in me. When my needs are fulfilled and they're not coming out my neck sideways with all of my defects of character and overreactivity and all those things, I will naturally have healthy inspired actions. That is the universe that God created. We are restored to health. We are restored to balance. We do find our way. There are solutions that are miracles that come out of nowhere. We're always taken care of. My life has proven that. Even with all the bullshit that's happened, my bullshit, other people's bullshit at me, God has always shown up in my life. So what is your part? And how do you define that? This is my part. This is what I'm defining. And I want to let you guys know that I'm talking very intimately with you guys about my relationship with my understanding of my higher power. And none of you have to take this on. This is not Coda literature. Well, I'm reading out of the book, but my interpretation is my personal relationship with my higher power, my God, and everyone absolutely has not only the freedom to have their own relationship, but the responsibility to find your own truth and ask God to reveal that to you, or however that looks for you. So please have boundaries and take what you want and leave the rest. So that is freedom. Freedom to live happy, joyous, and free. So here's our first writing assignment. What is blocking my freedom? If I am struggling in my life, these are just questions. I don't think we're going to get through all the questions, but these are things to think about and inspire some thought. If I am struggling in my life, how am I playing God? And am I trying to do it by myself? Do I feel abandoned by the challenge instead of empowered and encouraged? So what that means to me is that when a problem shows up in my life, do I feel punished? Or do I, or if I have a loving relationship with my higher power and I believe in him, I believe he's there, I believe he cares for me, I believe that, then when a problem shows up, do I believe that God is asking me to step into my strength or to heal some old wound? Do I feel like I'm being punished or abandoned? Or do I believe that God believes in me and he's molding me and giving me opportunities to not stay small, to not stay in my history, to not stay wounded, to not stay in my codependence and be a prisoner? I think God wants me to be free too. So how am I interpreting life? Am I avoiding being authentic with myself? Do I let myself have my wants? Do I let myself want it? Do I have a healthy relationship with what I want? Or does my gut cringe? Am I on one end of the spectrum or the other, where I feel entitled, or on the other side of this spectrum where I feel undeserving? And both of those are generally caused by shame. So I got to get right sized with my wants and desires, my, whatever that is: comfort in life, loving relationships, achievement, success, peace, good sleep, health in my body, freedom from whatever. Have I made other people or things my higher power instead of going to God? Do I just have this old list in my head of, if I do all these things right, everyone will like me and no one will leave me? And then that's my higher power, is this model up here. It's this little story, this little box of this list of rules that I follow that make me feel safe. And yeah, that's never going to work. That's never going to bring me peace. It's going to just make me feel okay for a minute. And then I'm going to feel that deep emptiness. It's not what fulfills us. And then I want to share this too. What happens if I just put down the struggle? Is it real or just a story? Like I've come to different places in my recovery where I'm aware that it's almost like pain is my identity or problems are my identity. And I have to be willing to let go of that attachment to things not working out, so that I can so that I can open my heart to a new experience of life. Thank God I'm a survivor. Thank God. I love that. I survived a lot of shit. If I want to outgrow being a survivor, I can't always see life through that lens. I can't be attached to the struggle, and I know that as a child, I was forced into situations that were overwhelming and huge and over my pay grade and devastating and traumatic, and I overcame and I overcame and I found ways to overcome and I found ways to overcome and I found ways to overcome. And now in my adult life, I go find problems to overcome. I look for the problems to overcome, and I miss out on the rainbows and the blessings when I'm looking for the problems to overcome. I'm making mountains out of molehills because that's how I know how to function. It's how I know how to feel safe. It's how I know how to be loved. It's how I know how to do all these things. But I have to put down the struggle and say, where am I putting my attention? Am I looking around at the rich life that I have created now that I'm in recovery, now that I'm not doing drugs? now that I'm not surviving paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I've got so much good in my life, wonderful people, lots of love, my own heartfelt connection with my inner child, a loving God in my life, super awesome kids, a great job, a good career. I hike every weekend. Why am I focused on the O? Why am I focused on the one little typo in my life? And how is it that that can be holding me back from this great, rich life that I have worked hard for, that God has given me? Can I just let myself be happy? So I'm going to shut up so you guys have a few minutes to write. And let's see, it's 1:46. Let's go till 1:55. Don't forget to pray. I feel like it's a combination of a couple things. One of them is that I have to hit a bottom. I generally don't do it willingly on a difficult subject. If it's escalated to that point, then it's probably not going to be something that I'm like, oh, I'll just do this. We've already gotten past that, So it has to be it has to be an escalated issue for me. It has to have a lot of energy around it usually. And I have exhausted myself trying to make it work. So I have to know that I can't budge it. I've tried this way and that angle, and I've, done a lot of that. So that's an important component for me. And hopefully my recovery won't always look like that. I know that I don't have to do it as long and as hard and as brutal as I used to, but there still is that component that I generally will try everything before I go, oh, I could just turn it over to God. So, just that's just natural how my brain is wired, and unwiring it takes time. So, and that surrender is something that happens mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So mentally, I have to let it go and put my attention on other things. The more I think about it, the more I'm still trying. I haven't surrendered it yet. So I have to surrender it mentally by moving on and directing my things at other things in my life, as opposed to, if I keep focused on it, I'm telling God, I'm not giving God any bandwidth, right? Just like it was saying, I'm saying, let me keep working on this. Let me keep working on this. And God's like, okay, okay, you have boundaries. I respect them, and so mentally, that's what I have to do. I have to move my attention to other things as if it was already taken care of. Like, okay, I handed that problem. I just hired a plumber. The plumber's in the bathroom. He's got all his tools. Now I can go in the kitchen and clean out the refrigerator, or I can go sit down and watch a movie, or I'll go play Candyland with my child, as if it's already being taken care of. That's what I have to learn how to do, like really trust. I'm not going to sit there and look over the shoulder of the plumber and go, wait, are you doing it right? Oh, is that the right tool for that? Oh, wait, let me get in there. Oh, wait, let me move all that stuff out of the way. Like, this person knows what they're doing. Do I trust that God knows what he's doing? And so mentally, emotionally, that means surrender. That I have to go into soothing myself, like you talked about the trauma and the PTSD coming up when you trust. So I have to soothe myself. I have to self-parent. I have to say, I'm okay. It's all going to work out. I have to remind myself that worrying does not solve problems. Worrying has never made my life better, not one day. It's never solved the problem to obsess about it. So I'm okay. I do affirmations. I'm okay. And I emotionally soothe, so I can just lean into that. I am being taken care of. I can breathe. I'm okay. I can calm myself down. And so that's a powerful emotional tool, and allow that solution to come in. Again, opening up my bandwidth. And then physically, to, feel my body surrender. And it takes practice to learn how to do that, to like literally surrender and release the tightness in my chest and breathe into my belly. Instead of when I get anxiety, I breathe just short little shallow breaths up into my chest, but breathe deep into my belly, bring my, and get that, get out of my head, get down into my heart and feel safe in my body. So I've got to pay attention to the physical, spiritual, emotional, all the mental, all the stuff that's happening at all different levels, and then hang on to my ass and let God heal me. Because, I am walking through healing PTSD and trauma and fear, and it's okay. It can be messy, and let it be messy. And, and the other recovery tools, reach out to my sponsor, hear other people talk about it, talking about it out loud, getting all my fears out there on the table so I can see how irrational they are and how much smaller than God they are. Get out of my storytelling. When I tell the stories to somebody else that has good recovery, then they can reflect back to me that those are just stories. That's not bigger than your higher power. That's not bigger than God's love for you. So anyway, and then I just keep at it, and I just trust that it doesn't all have to go away at once for me to feel successful. I can celebrate every little success that I have in this area on my journey of this restoration of sanity. I don't have to wait till I have it all figured out. That's someone else's story. God loves me right where I am. Right where I am in every process in my life. I don't have to wait for life to start once I figure this out. Because again, that's the freedom, right? I have the freedom to live right now and walk through this process and be restored to sanity and learn how to trust my higher power. And I can still be happy, joyous, and free in the meantime. So anyway, those are my thoughts about it. Thank you for asking. Welcome back, everybody. I hope that you guys got a lot out of sharing with each other. I wish I could have been there like a fly on the wall, listening to everybody's heart and experience and all your recovery wisdom. But we had a nice little chat in here. So, okay, so we're ready to move on. So I'm going to read a little bit more. Many of us search our hearts for the prayer and communication with God that express what we truly feel. Some of us find helpful the following prayer from step 7 in the Coded 12 Steps Handbook. In this moment, I ask my higher power to remove all my shortcomings, relieving me of the burden of my past. In this moment, I place my hand in God's, trusting that the void I experience is being filled with my higher power's unconditional love for me and those in my life. In completing step 7, we allow our higher power to guide our lives and the healing of our codependent behaviors. We begin to understand that our recovery can continue only through our higher power's love and care. We no longer play God or place others in that role. We become partners with our higher power. We ask for God's help as we apply healthy new behaviors in our relationships with God, ourselves, and others. So here's our next assignment, and here is my example. This is my declaration of dependence, right? Instead of a declaration of independence, because I am independent to a fault. And that again is that arrogance, that over responsibility and over self-sufficiency doesn't allow me to build trust with my higher power. So I need to make a powerful declaration that I am choosing to be dependent on my higher power. So this is wordy. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't help it. I'm not going to apologize for being me, but please take it with a grain of salt. Nobody has to. No one else is me, and you know, please feel free to write your letters however your heart tells you to write them. But I'm going to go ahead and read this out loud. Dear higher parents, there's a story there, but I'll just save that. It's just how I address my higher power these days. On this day of my continuing spiritual awakening, I declare my commitment to depending on you for all that you intended, to depend on you for all things that I cannot accomplish alone, to depend on you for all things that feel like too much, to depend on you to guide me to surrender my independence so that I may live the life that you have blessed me with under your perfect care and love. I have a sense that this is a beautiful gift I am giving to you because you love me and see the unnecessary pain of my separation from you. So I give you this gift of my heart and my life. I know this is also a beautiful gift I am giving me because I am tired of sometimes still trying to figure it out all alone and feeling alone and not enough. I give me this gift of surrender and joyful relief. And I have enough recovery to know that there is so much more in life for me to experience and enjoy. And my independence blocks me from the fullness that life can bring me. To start with, I give you my trust issues and depend on you to heal and remove those. I surrender my child and their journey and depend on you to help me be a healthy mom. I surrender all my relationships and depend on you to restore them to healthy, loving relationships or use them as wisdom building for my highest good. I surrender my lifelong fight with sexual shame, body image, weight, and food issues, and declare I will depend on you to continue to restore me to sanity. I surrender my codependence to you, and I will depend on you to remove my toxic shame and toxic fear as I heal my life and learn how to live. I surrender all my shortcomings to you, those I am aware of and those I am not, and depend on you to remove them. I depend on you to remove them as quickly and gently as possible, and depend on you to bring me exactly what I need to be a willing and empowered partner in that process. I depend on you to continue my spiritual awakening so that I can feel deeper and greater freedom in my life that comes with the trust and faith I have in our relationship. I depend on you to provide opportunities to have all that I desire that is good for me and surrender my beliefs of unworthiness. I surrender my entire life into your loving care and will depend on you to fill my heart with happiness, joy, and inspiration, and to know that I am truly loved. In deep gratitude and love, Heidi. And I feel the humility when I say that. You know, I feel that little edge of uncertainty that like, oh, I'm out there on thin ice, you know. I mean, so that tells me that I still have healing to do in that area of trust. And it's okay that humility is not super comfortable. That is okay. It takes effort. It takes a decision. It takes focus, and I'm willing to do that. And that's what this, and then I will be stepping into my next layer of learning to allow God to love me. So I want you guys to write your own declaration of dependence. I'm going to leave mine up on the screen so that you guys can reflect on it. And again, write it in your own words. What is true for you today? And you can always add to it and edit it as much as you want. But we're going to give everybody a little bit of time to do this. How about, let's see, we're going to need more time to share. So how about we do 10 minutes again, and then we'll do another 10-minute share or breakout rooms so everybody can read them. Okay, let's go ahead and do breakout groups. And I just want you guys to Feel free to share your declaration of dependence if you wrote that. If you don't want to share, that's fine. You could share about how it felt to write it. You could share about feelings that you have coming up around writing it, maybe some resistance, and share about that, or relief, or how it feels to even be able to conceive of letting go of all of that and how that feels. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Thanks everybody for participating, and good job. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and go on here. So I'm going to finish reading step 7 in the Coda book. Though we may behave in some of the same codependent ways, we become convinced, regardless of the timing and ways, that God will continue to remove these shortcomings. We ask God to remove them as they happen and seek additional help when necessary. We must try to be consistent in our readiness and our willingness. In doing so, our maturing, healthier selves will continue to emerge. By completing these first 7 steps, we establish strong foundations in our relationships with God and with ourselves. We begin to experience choices in our lives. We become aware of our self-defeating thoughts and behaviors and begin replacing them with positive thoughts and healthy behaviors. We move further from shame and fear to an even greater acceptance of ourselves and others. As this transformation continues, we notice a growing inner strength. People and situations that frightened, angered, overwhelmed, or overpowered us become less powerful. We develop self-acceptance and personal integrity. With these greater strengths, it is time to begin the work of healing our relationships with others through step 8. And that is the end of that chapter, or piece of the chapter. So then this is just something I shared. I'm not going to add, we just don't have time for everybody to do this piece, but I wanted to share what a letter might look like from our higher power to us. And this is what my higher power put on my heart to write from my higher parents. And I want to share this because it's deeply healing. My dearest child, first and foremost, we are very happy to receive your loving declaration of dependence. There are no lengths that we won't go to in support of the perfect unfolding of your unique, precious self. Your freedom is an essential part of that, and our supportive care of you is essential for you to feel free. You are more loved and safe than you can imagine, and you will experience that more and more as you surrender your humanness to merge with your spirituality, which is us within. Our guidance in this moment is this: as you ask us for more, you will learn that you are safe to want and to receive. There will always be more that you will want. We designed it that way. Do not feel shame and fear at what you desire. It is a part of your spiritual awakening, and we will carry you into that new vision of who you are becoming. That is the way. We created you as a being of joy and love and expansion, and life is designed to support that expansion. Expansion requires new desires and destinations, which naturally creates shortcomings. Lean into us with your shortcomings, and they will carry you to new heights. It is the nature of freedom, and your nature and our nature. It is a joyful process when you allow yourself to ask and then be open to receiving. We are always with you. Everything that we do is to support your highest good, and there is never a moment that we are looking away. We are always caring for you, applauding you, guiding you, cherishing you, respecting you, loving you. Forever, child. As you receive our loving care, you will experience greater and greater freedom. Freedom to play, adventure, learn, grow, evolve, love, experience, and become. We are so proud of you and all that you are. We have no judgment, only love. You are never not exactly as we created you to be. It brings us great joy and fulfillment to be together in this adventure of your life. So try to have more fun and feel good and leave the heavy lifting for us. Please stop trying so hard and let us do our job. Trust us and all will be well. Always and forever, your loving higher parents. And that chokes me up. It does. It chokes me up. That is, that's take what you want out of that if it feels like it resonates with you. But I would encourage anyone that feels inspired to sit down with a journal and let your higher power speak directly to you and through you. It's a beautiful gift to feel that level of intimacy and worthiness and safety and protection and care. We're not alone. And it's beautiful to know that, just like know it. So this is it. That's the end of the workshop. I just wanted to bring us back to Promise 4, which is I know a new freedom, because that goes really well with this presentation. And that is in our promises, to know a new freedom. And it's interesting that it doesn't define that freedom. It's like the shortest promise of all the freedoms, or of all the promises. It's like the shortest sentence of all of them, because there's no way to define what freedom is for you or me in this moment. Like it is so relative to where we are in our life. It's so personal. And God just said to me, that my higher parents are never not watching, never not caring for me. Nothing is unimportant about my life to them. So now what will you do with your precious life now that you have more freedom? And that is a fun place to put our time and attention instead of all of our worries, because once we give them to God, we stop worrying. And we have boundaries with that chronic obsessive worry and worry addiction and fear addiction and story addiction. And instead, we put our energy and time into, what do I want? How do I want to expand? What do I do with this freedom? What do I do with the amazing person I am? How do I meet my needs and wants? What are my needs and wants? How can I play more? How can I fill my heart? How do I, what feels good? What hobbies do I want? What have I always wanted to do that I always hold myself back from? And that's what we can do with that freedom. And that can be scary too. That can feel overwhelming too, and put us right back into the cycle of, oh my God, now I have all this freedom and I don't have an excuse anymore. And the fear of falling short of creating a fulfilling life. I don't know, that's my codependent story, is that I would almost rather on some level feel obligated and imprisoned than have that freedom and the responsibility that comes with it of stepping into the real world and doing my life. And God will walk with me every step of that way too. So just one more thing to surrender. And just take baby steps and take good care of yourselves. That's what I try to do. So with that, I'm done. We still have about 12 minutes. And so I would be happy to open it up for some people to share, or if anyone has a question. I would describe, I guess first I have to kind of tell you what being inauthentic looks like. So for me, I had this image of how to be the perfect person, how to be the perfect Heidi, whether if that was being a daughter, if that was being a partner, if that was being an employee, if that was being a mom, whatever. And then my denial would tell me that, okay, I am that. I got that. Check, 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 check. I'm perfect. And then I would feel safe, like I'm running around doing all these things or acting in this way, and then okay, like I'm safe because I fit the profile. Somehow that's gonna make me enough, or make me right, or make me not abandoned, or I won't feel shame, I won't feel less than. And so I had to have this awakening of authenticity to be able to own my humanness, and own my shortcomings, and own my defects of character or my weaknesses, and say I don't meet all those, I'm not perfect in all those areas, and some of those areas aren't even my values. Like they're just values that I picked up from somebody else. Those are all the things that I should be to make you happy, or make you proud of me, or not trigger your shame, or make you feel safe, because as a child I was conditioned in the dysfunctional family that my job is to fix your feelings. So I'm supposed to fix your shame and your insecurity and your fear, and make you feel like you're competent and you're a loving mother, and you're a great provider, and that you're a wonderful person when you might not be. And so so I have to be authentic, and just strip all that away, and first start with I'm just enough the way I am, and let's take a look at those things honestly. And when you get the shame out of the way, you can do that. When you get the shame out of the way, you're safe to just be where you are. And we can never really grow from a place of denial where we think that we're someone that we're not, and in our patterns and characteristics, it talks about codependents thinking that they're so giving to others. I can't remember how it's worded, but it's like, like thinking that, that they're so committed and good at taking care of others, or something like that. And that was me for sure, putting myself on a little mini pedestal of, I do. And then of course I would shame spiral right into my martyr, and then guilt and shame everybody for everything I was doing for them that, that I made up, got me points somehow, and no one was ever grateful for it, and blah blah blah. So that was a big cycle for me for a long time with martyrism. And so yeah, authenticity is super important for me to have that, because I cannot feel loved, or even know that I'm worthy of love, unless I'm authentic. If nobody sees the real me, no one can love the real me. And then even if they do love me, I know it's phony. I know that I'm not showing them the real me. So I don't let it in. I don't get to feel it. Well, I just had an inspiration at a point about, it's probably been like 4 or 5 years now. Just higher power inspiration, that my higher power, and because I was back and forth on the fence of like, is it a guy? Is it a girl? Well, I need it to be, I was raised with a God that was a man, a male, and then, okay, well, that was messy. So maybe if I switch over to a female, then that'll feel more comfortable. So now I have a goddess for a while, and I'm like trying that out and trying to figure out what fits and what feels right. And all of it feels weird and awkward. And through all that weird and awkwardness, I'm growing, and I'm finding my power, and I'm feeling my feelings, and I'm facing my spiritual traumas, and none of that is bad. That is all good work. And then I have this inspiration that my higher power is actually dual, and that it's higher parents, and it's a loving mother and a loving father, heavenly fathers, heavenly mother and father. And it was like I just cried and cried and cried, feeling them together loving me. And I think part of the healing for me in my story is that I had parents that triangulated with me a lot, where I would be my mom's favorite for a while, and then my dad would be on the outs, and mom would talk shit to me about dad, and then I was, and then I was my dad's favorite for a while he was molesting me, and then to my mother I was the other woman. I mean, just big messy triangulation stuff going on in my family. And I never got to experience, my parents' marriage was also very tumultuous. I'm not saying that right. It was fucked up. So, and just, they were always threatening to divorce, threatening to leave each other. There was violence, there was raging. It was just awful. And so having these loving higher parents that loved each other and didn't put me in the middle of their craziness, that they were united in their love for me, that I wasn't like something that one of them used as a weapon against the other. And just when I had that all come in and kind of download into my heart, I just, this huge, spiritual awakening around how much pain that had caused me to feel in the middle between them and have to pick sides and be trying to smooth over their relationship with, one of them hating the other one. And it was just a mess. So that's been just a beautiful journey for me. And it kind of ebbs and flows, but I still seem to be kind of committed to that process in my healing journey. And so I just would encourage all of you to, feel it, feel what feels right to you. And it and you will, I was brought to that. Like it just came to me out of nowhere. Well, I mean, we all know where it came from, but so thanks for asking. So thanks you guys for participating and giving me an opportunity to be of service and strengthen and nurture my recovery.